and good afternoon, and welcome to another Back to the Future interview today. This afternoon, I'm with RootWave. So, Andrew, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us a bit about what RootWave do.
Sure, thank you. So RootWave use electricity to kill weeds. So it's got a couple of key characteristics. The first, it's systemic. So how it works is we touch a weed and electricity flows. The natural resistance of that weed turns that electricity to heat, which boils it inside out from the root upwards. So it's got good efficacy. The next point is it's low cost. So the incremental cost of fuel is much, much less than the consumable cost of consumable, which means that we can save farmers money. The second is organic. So there's no chemical residues. There's no risks to our health or the environment or to resistance forming, which is key for farmers to be able to plan their futures. It's regenerative. So we don't damage or touch the soil. So it's completely in line with the new drive to improve the soil health on farms. And it's future-proof. So actually, when autonomous green tractors come along, what we'll have is a sort of carbon negative, fully autonomous solution. What we've got today is a solution, an implement that you attach to the back of a tractor, and it's pulled by that tractor through vineyards and orchards. So it's for apples and grapes primarily. And then we have a partnership with Garford Farm Machinery, which are another UK firm, to effectively take that technology into row crops. So these are your vegetables, your cereals, or your broadacres such as maize and sunflower, etc. So pretty exciting in terms of that journey we're on.
It's really exciting, actually, yeah. And I like that you have mentioned like those three key things that is pertinent right now that people are looking for. But I'm going to take us back before we come back to the future. Just thinking about what's enabled this in the last 10 years, or what do you think's really changed that means this is a solution people want to take forward?
So if you roll back for the history of eWeeding, the first patent was in 1890s. So it's it's been around, the idea and the concept, for a long time. And that was actually designed for railroads to keep weeds off the tracks. Had a sort of resurgence in the 70s and 80s. Actually, my father was involved in that. But it never really got anywhere because chemistry at the time was really good at killing weeds. It was low cost and no one really knew about any health and environmental issues associated with it. So two things have changed in the last decade. The first is that acknowledgement that perhaps using chemistry is not the best approach in the long term. And second is you have modern electronics, developed for other industries such as the car industry, which are applicable for electrical weeding in agriculture. And what they do is allow us to control the power. And by controlling the power, that means that we can actually have, using very small components, we can actually have a really low-cost, sustainable solution for electrical weeding in agriculture that you couldn't have done more than 10 years ago.
Wow, gosh. So it's like a real two-pronged attack there with the enabling technology, but also the removal of the chemistry, which was just an easier option at the time then, I guess.
Yeah, and the removal, you've got the two drivers there. You've got the perception of farmers and the consumers. It's increasingly, people are aware that if they have a choice, maybe that's not something they would like. And second, you've got the regulators stepping in and saying, actually, look, guys, maybe we should look to reduce the residues in our food and environment. And those restrictions are obviously encouraging people to look for alternatives. And for us, it's quite exciting because we are not asking the farmer to pay more to do the same job that they've been doing with chemistry. So they get their low cost for their sort of keep the cost of their business down, but they don't get the residues, but they get the efficacy.
So that's really interesting. So I guess from your point of view, I guess are you seeing more take up and adoption? Those barriers are coming down as time goes on, I guess, to having more people adopt it on farm.
Very much so. I mean, from an agricultural market, we're actually launching this year in orchards and vineyards. We have our first orders in place, and we're delivering those. And as the years go on, obviously that will snowball, not only in the UK, but Europe, America, and the rest of the world.
And I guess, is that where the partnership with Garford comes in as well? Because they've got some existing kind of infrastructure, haven't they, around machinery? Is that right?
Yeah, so yes and no. So Garford are predominantly going to be focused on the row crop market, whereas our entire solution is based on the fruit market. So we're going to have to build up our own dealer distribution network globally. But when you come to row crops, yes, you're correct that Garford already have that well established, and I can't remember the exact number of countries, but they sell in 30 odd countries globally.
Oh wow, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, to try and get it deployed a bit quicker. Lovely, that's really cool. So you've sort of talked about what has happened and where we are now with the change to move to regenerative and potentially carbon negative and all this sort of thing. Where do you think we will be in the next 10 years, and how will RootWave be supporting it?
Okay, so in our specific field, what I hope to happen in 10 years is that we've proven that we can deliver a alternative to chemistry, but at scale. And that the take up and adoption of our products and our technology is on a very sort of exponential trajectory. And farmers can sort of sit back and stand back and say, actually, I've got a choice now. I can keep with the status quo, the chemistry, with its upsides and downsides, but I can also choose eWeeding, again, with its pros and cons, but at a time where the costs are very comparable and competitive. So they can do it for their own reasons other than purely a cost factor.
That's a really interesting way to put it, actually. Yeah, giving people more choice. I feel like that's really what we've seen from our perspective in the last 10 years is there's just so much more choice, and it's not just this is how it's done. It's how do you want to do it? What are you looking to do? And I think this could be a really cool alternative to chemistry, as you say. And have you got like a bigger, just general picture of the industry where you want it to go?
Where I want to take it is, well, again, it comes down to choice. Consumers, the ultimate consumer has a choice. They can choose an apple that's lower cost but has residues, or they could choose an apple that's higher costs, which has less residues, if at all. So consumers, unfortunately, have to choose. Well, most consumers, they choose on cost, and it's not a fair choice. What I want to see in 10 years' time is the same cost for that apple, and people can make a choice depending on how it's grown and where it's grown. So ultimately, what we're looking to unlock is, I guess, both nutritious but also healthy food for all at a competitive cost. That's the ultimate goal for the end consumer. For the farmers who are in the middle, what we're unlocking there is an alternative low-cost weed control method that's will do the job as they expect today, but without those residues.
It's really nice, yeah, to consider both ends of that spectrum. I think it's quite difficult, but it sounds like you've got it firmly in mind what you want to achieve.
Very much so.
Fabulous. Unless I've missed anything, I'll say thank you so much.
I think that's it from me. So thank you.
Perfect. Well. Lovely to talk to you. And yeah, I'm really excited to see where you head in the next 10 years, see if your vision comes true.
Good. Watch this space.
Yeah, exactly. Cheers. Lovely. Thanks very much.
Bye.